All right, good afternoon, everyone. Want to take you through a couple of quick demos with SPSS for those of you who may not be as familiar with the program. First video, we're just going to go through basic lay of the land in terms of the spreadsheet, different options and basic commands and things. And then in the second video, we'll start working through some different syntax commands. Hopefully this will be helpful for navigating problem sets down the road in your own research and things along those lines. So what I've got here is this SPSS demo PDF. You'll be able to find that in the handouts folder on WILE courses. And this first part here, just going through some basic setups and the tabs in SPSS. We're going to be working with two databases for this example, SPSS Demo 1, SPSS Demo 2. These are both files you'll be able to find in the datasets folder on WILE courses. So if we're just looking at SPSS Demo 1 to start out with, this is an example of a dataset that we have collected or had previously collected for some work we were doing, and you'll see basic spreadsheet function here, numerical and some text variables here with the variable names listed along the top. Okay, so one of the things if you're not familiar with SPSS, you have two different views. You have your data view, which is demonstrating all our variable names, and then we have a variable view down here in this bottom tab. This variable view is what we're going to be working with mostly in this demonstration. Want to give you a sense for what's going on, how to set these files up so that they make sense to you when you save them, pick them up later, open up 3 months down the road so you know what you're looking at, what you've done. Also, if you're sending these off to somebody else, it's nice to have them set up so that everything's labeled correctly. So first thing we're going to take a look at under the variable view is the setup. Looking at some of these tabs here. So first is obviously your variable name. You can go through, write in whatever variable name that you like. Generally, it's best to have something that's semi-intuitive so that you know what the variable is. You can put in pretty much anything you want. You just can't start a variable with a number or a special character or something along those lines. So that's pretty straightforward. The type, this specifies different types of variable formats. So if we go through, you'll see that most of these are set as numeric codes. But if we go through and we, let's say, click on that. Okay, if you just click on the corner here, it'll pop up a window, and you can look at the different types of variables that you can specify. So numeric, probably going to be the one that you spend most of your time with, but you can also set up variables to have commas listed in between different spots using dots, scientific notation. You can specify dates if you have a date of an assessment. This is nice to have in. Dollar amounts, currency. The one that you'll probably use most often, aside from numeric, is going to be a string variable. A string variable is going to allow you to punch in text, and this characters. This is going to tell you how many characters that you want to have in that text variable. So if you make a variable a string variable, and let's say you want it to have 20 characters, SPSS will hold up to 20 characters. Anything that you type in or paste in above and beyond 20 characters, it won't handle or it won't hold. So you can go through and you put it 500 if you like, just making sure that if it's a simple yes, no answer, something like that, then you might not need to have too many characters. But if it's long string of text, want to make sure that you can accommodate that. So we'll put this back to numeric. But you'll see coming down, it looks like here we're working with individuals who've been in car accidents. MVA question 9 is a string variable. If we go through and take a look, you'll see here we've got some numeric values for set codes, and then we've got some text that we can write in there as well. Okay, so type will let you specify the type of variable you're working with. Width, this is how wide, how many spaces that you'll have out for your string variables. You'll see you can modify that here in addition to the characters. Let's say, we want to make this 20. Okay, we can do that here. Switch it back to 15 here. You can do that either way, however you want. Decimals, this is for your numeric variables, how many decimal places you want to run things to. So if you've got a variable like your participant number, probably don't need any decimals on that, but if we wanted to give that 3 decimal places, now we've got 3 decimal places. Okay, so pretty easy, straightforward stuff. All right. One thing to note for your decimals, this only impacts the set that you put here, only impacts the display. So if we actually wanted this was 7.28, it'll only read it on your screen as 7, but if you look up here, it's retained all the decimal places. So even if you're changing the decimal, this just impacts the display, not the actual numerical value. Okay, so but we don't want 7.28 as a participant number. We'll just put that back to 7. Okay, so that takes decimals. Your labels. This is your descriptive label. Here you have your variable name. This is what you're going to see as you run your analyses. This is how the variable will be displayed in your SPSS output. So always want to make sure you give your variables a name so that you know what it is, how you calculated it, so on. This will be incredibly helpful as you go through and working with some of these sets, particularly when they're large. So again, just a descriptive label, and this will show up in SPSS. So let's see, we've got, let's take a look at marital status. So variable name is marital, label is marital status. If we go through and we take a look at our frequencies, and we go through and want to just take a look there, you'll see marital status is how the variable is labeled, and then we've got our different codes here. So if I wanted to, let's say, look at the mean of BAI score. BAI score is the variable name, which is pretty straightforward. But if I go through and, oops, I guess I don't have any BAI scores. There we go. You'll see that this is BDI total score. So BDI total score, even though BDI score is the variable name, this is the label, and so SPSS will give you the variable label here. Only thing to watch out for with this is if you have something that's very long, it can start to clutter up your output if you've got a variable label that's 4 sentences long. So as you're going through working with your variable labels, make use of this. You may think that you will remember what MVA Q2 means right now, but 3 months down the road when you reopen this file up, you'll probably forget. So make sure to make use of your variable labels. Also nice if you're sending a colleague or your instructor a file, if you've got that variable labeled, it helps us know what's going on. Okay, so we've got your labels here. Also specify values. This is helpful with nominal or ordinal variables. This will tell SPSS. So for gender, we've got 1s and 2s, but I don't know what 1s and 2s stand for. What we can do in our values, you can put 1 equals male, 2 equals female, and that way, when we go through and say, take a look at our frequencies, instead of having SPSS just tell you 33 ones and 67 twos. It provides the label here, male 33, female 67. That's helpful there. We can also go through, let's say, for employment. So here we've got full-time, part-time, unemployed. Let's make that. So caregiver. And we can change that. On disability, retired. And then maybe we want to put a new case in here. Value of 7. We're going to make this student in case we want to make sure that we have full-time students in there. We can add that in, hit OK. If we go analyze frequencies, employment status, right? We go down through and we've got our variable names here. So that is nice, useful to have. So we've got our values here. And then last thing that's kind of big is our missing. What this will do is sometimes if I'm looking through the set and I've got missing values here, I don't know if this is actually missing because our participant didn't provide this, or it's missing because someone forgot to enter this. So one thing that I like to do is I'll go through and enter a missing data code like a 999. Okay, 999 tells me that someone didn't go through and answer that question. But we need to tell SPSS that 999 means that data are missing. That's where we do, and we put our missing code here. We can say discrete missing values 999. And if we hit OK, what SPSS is going to do is it's going to identify any case with 999 in there as having a missing variable. Always though want to make sure that you've identified that in your missing column. And so if we were going to do that here, right? So we got a couple, we got a string variable in there where we can't identify a missing value. But what this does is it'll tell your system to ignore 999 as a missing value. But if you don't do that, it'll calculate it as a real value, and you'll get weird means, and so then you'll have to end crazy ranges, and you'll have to go back through and figure out or fix it at that point. So that covers missing, and then you've got how you're aligning your measures, things like that. Only last thing here, or your variables, only last thing to take a look at is this measure column. What we can do is right now all of these are listed as scale variables, with the exception of the string variable. That's treating these variables as continuous, but if we had an actual nominal variable like gender, we could identify that as nominal. Okay, and if we wanted to treat education as ordinal, we could specify that here in the file. What this is going to do is for some types of analyses that you run, it will restrict the types of analyses that you can do based on the measure that you've set. If you keep everything at scale, that'll probably just be good, but know that you can go through, and if you want to explicitly tell SPSS that this is a nominal ordinal variable, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, so that takes us through most of the stuff on the variable view. Again, you'll thank yourself later if you go through and make sure that you've labeled everything correctly, set up your decimals the way you want them, so on and so forth. Okay, a couple other things that are important in SPSS. Whenever you're working with a file, never ever go through and perform operations on the original data, because if you screw it up and you've been working with the original data, there's no way to go back and recover your actual raw scores. So always before you go through and start working on things, go File, Save As, and maybe set this as a working file. Something like that. So now anything that you do with your working file is fine. You can keep it in your working file, but your original data remains whole and unmodified. So if you can go back through and check that out. So always, always, always save to a working file or scrap file or something along those lines. Okay. Other basic operation, sorting cases. This is easy in SPSS. Actually a lot better than the previous demonstration in Excel, because you can't scramble your files or your file up in SPSS. So what we can do here is if you go data, sort cases, you want to sort by age and hit OK. You can do that and it'll just tell you it's sorted by age, and we go through and we see that we've got our age variable sorted in ascending order. Now, a couple of things that we can do to shortcut this. You can also click on a column, right click, and hit sort ascending, and it'll do the same thing, right? Just kind of a shortcut here that ends up being nice. So right click, sort ascending here. One of the things that's nice about sorting within the spreadsheet, you can go through and determine what cases are at the lower and upper end of your distribution. So it looks like for age, we've got someone at the youngest who's 19, at the oldest 79. Just a quick way to go through and take a look at that if we want to see how many months since someone's accident. We can sort here and we can see at the low end 1 month since the accident, to the high end 195 months. So we have quite a range there. Other thing that is useful is any variables, when you go through and sort, any variable that's missing data automatically sorted at the top of the file. So this is a nice way to quickly identify cases that have missing values. So if I want to see, so we have full data on race, ethnicity, full information on education. So we're doing pretty good. But if we want to take a look at income, all right, looks like we've got 4 or 6 cases here where we don't have income data. This is a nice way to go through and see if you're missing values very quickly just with this sort variable. Again, if we sort here, we've got 1 value missing for age. So again, another thing that I think is useful for using that function there. Also, use this for eliminating scores above or below certain values. If I wanted to sort this and I said I didn't want anybody who was over the age of 60, I could go through and say, all right, here, or if I didn't want someone over the age of 50, I could go through, sort by age, and then just get rid of those cases if I wanted to do that. So sort is something that's quick and easy to do, something that you'll use quite a bit to go through and take a look and manipulate your data. Other thing that is incredibly useful is if you have 2 separate data files that are linked in with a common participant number, merging in other files is something that is really beneficial and a slick thing that you can do in SPSS. This also helps you from having to have all of your variables in one single massive file. You can work, let's say you've running a study, you've got 5 different questionnaires. You can have those different questionnaires in different files and then merge those into your main set as you need them, so that you don't have to deal with 1,000 different variables. So let's say for this example, when we're merging, we're going to match variables from an outside data set based on a case number. And let's say that our variables that we want to merge in are these 2 pain indices. Okay, so we've got 2 different pain measures of chronic pain that we want to move into this file where we've got people, survivors of motor vehicle accidents. Okay, what we want to do first is we want to make sure both of your files are sorted by whatever the identifier is, ascending. So we'll go through, sort both of these. Okay, very, very important. Always want to make sure that we're sorting these files so that we don't screw things up. Okay, So we've opened both of our files. We've sorted files ascending by participant identification code. Okay, and then we want to save the file and save the file here. Okay, what we're going to do then is we're going to go to the file that we want. This is what's going to be our main set. Okay, this is the file that we want to merge variables into. So this here is our smaller set. We just want to add these two variables into this larger set here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our larger set. We're going to go data. We're going to go to merge files, and we're going to go add variables. Okay, select add variables, and we can do a couple different things. We can, because this other set is already open, we can select this, or we can say an external set data file, browse this, and then we can select whatever file we want to merge in. Only thing that you want to do if you do use this option, make sure that whatever file you're merging in has already been sorted ascending. But what we're going to do is we're going to open this from a data set that's already open right now. We're going to take our demo2 file, hit continue here. Okay. Now you'll see this excluded variables. This excluded variables, the only variable that should be in your excluded variables is your identifier. Right? This is your subject number. This is the only thing that we would want to have in there. If we had any other variables in here, it would mean that we've screwed something up. Right? So what we want to do is we want to say we want to match these two files on subject number. So we want to match on key variable. We're going to say cases are sorted in order in both data sets, and then we're going to move that subject as our key variable that we're going to sort. Okay. If we go down and we take a look at our new active data set, we've got all of these variables that were in the original data set, and then as we get down to the bottom, we're going to add in our ODI and our PDS total. Okay, those are the variables. Well, we can't look at it, but these are the variables coming in on the other set. So everything looks good here. So we're going to say OK, and SPSS is going to warn you. It says, hey, this is going to fail if these two files aren't sorted in ascending order and appropriate to our key variables. We're going to say OK. We believe that that's true, and we go through, take a look at our output. So we see no errors here. What we're looking for is things that say that the files aren't sorted in the same order, or that we've got duplicate files. It means we've got another 17 in one case, right? These are all things that would suggest that things have screwed up. They haven't here, so it looks good. If we go back through and we take a look at our data file, we see that we've got our ODI and our PDS total now merged in with our data set here. Okay, so this is a basic merge. Some examples though of some things that can go wrong. Let's say I merged in those the ODI and the PDS, but I forgot that I had done that. If I go through and I say merge files, add variables, and I'm going to pull this in and I hit continue, now you'll see the excluded variables. These are variables that are already in your base set and the set that you're going to merge in. See that we've got the ODI and the PDS already in my base set, and the one that I'm trying to merge in suggests that I've got something wrong, and so I'm going to cancel this. Okay. Other thing that can happen, let's say I've got insert. Okay. Say I've entered case number 4 twice. I got 27 here and 56 here. Okay. We'll go through, delete these variables. So we'll pretend that we haven't got those, right? So we're going to go through and sort, and we've gone through and sorted. But the problem is we've got 2 people with the same case number here, all right? But let's say that we didn't realize that, and we wanted to go to data, add variables, subject, put that in there. All right. So we've gone through, we've matched cases on key variables, cases are in order, all right, and we go through and we hit OK. Yep, we've sorted them. We're going to make sure they're okay. We hit all right. But if we go through and take a look, we see we've got warning, duplicate in file, variables don't uniquely identify each case, and we'll see here that what we've done is we've merged into case number 4s, right? And this is problematic, and so we'll want to go through and make sure that we fix that. So what we'll probably do is we'll escape out of that, save changes, nope, because we've made an error, and then what we can do is we can go back through and just reopen up our demo 1 and give that another shot. Okay. Another situation where we can get things backwards. Let's say we forget to sort our, well, let's sort this one by subject. And then for our merged in file, okay, let's get rid of that extra 4 that we've got. But let's say that we don't have this sorted in order. Okay, so this is here, and what we're going to do, we're going to make sure we've sorted this one in order. But if we go data, add variables, so we want our match based on subject, match cases, here we go. We've got that all set up, right? We've got our merge in variables here at the end, so we're feeling good. We say okay. SPSS says we're going to get a problem if these aren't sorted in ascending order, and I say yep, they are, and we'll go through and do it, and we get a new error term here: files out of order, all files must be non-descending, any changes have been lost. We've got a problem on our hands, right? So again, cancel this out. No, we don't want to save. And then we go back through and open up our original set here. Okay, so this is why it's important to go through, work with a working set, so that you don't screw up your data. You will. I do on a regular basis. Just make sure that you've got a backup set and that you're not, to make sure you're looking for error files. Okay, so that gets us through our highlight or our merging procedures. But again, go through, make sure that you review this in your SPSS demo file here. Last other things we can do in SPSS, we can split files. This is going to be helpful. Let's say I want to take a look at the age of my participants, but I want to look at whether or not or what my average age is for men versus women. What I can do with my split file, right, is I'm going to go data, split file, okay, and I'm going to tell SPSS I want to run this analysis separately for individuals with for men and for women. Okay, so I take gender, throw it in. I want to say groups based on gender, and then I'm going to hit OK. SPSS is going to tell me that it's split file by gender. And now what I want to do is I can go through, take a look at descriptives, and I want to take a look at age. And if I hit OK, with this split file on, what it's going to do is it's going to give me average age for men, average age for women. We're remarkably close here, right? So right now with this split file on, any analyses that I run, it's going to give me separate output for men, separate output for women. Okay. Now this will continue to do this until I either go back to my split file command and I say analyze all cases. That will pull the split off, or if I just resort these variables and then run my descriptives, it takes that split off as soon as I resort things, and now I'm working with my whole sample. Okay, so again, useful thing to do in terms of your split file here. Also nice if we're working with an experimental study and I want to look at differences in, say, some outcome trait anxiety across condition 1, 2, and 3. I can do that here. Let's say I want to split file by marital status. Okay, I hit OK, and now I want to look at age by marital status. What this does is it says, here's the mean age for my married folks, my single folks, people who are cohabiting, separated, divorced, widowed, right? So again, just another example of how we can go through and use this split file. This is going to be helpful for screening stuff down the road. Okay. Other thing we can do is we can select files. So we can say select cases, and let's say that I only want to run analyses if let's say marital status equals 1. Okay, and I hit OK. Then I'm going to run analyses only for those people who are married, if that's what marital status is equal to 1. I think it is. So we could do a random sample of 50% of the cases if we wanted to, or if we wanted a random sample of 20 cases from the first 50, right? Different things here, or other types of things we can go through. Basically what this is going to do is it's going to restrict our analyses based on the selection of certain cases. Okay, so something we can do there. Last thing we'll cover here is our computing variables within SPSS. This is going to let us calculate or transform variables. Lots of different things we can do. Let's say, though, for this purpose, we want to compute a variable, and let's say one of our variables is, let's say our BDI is horribly skewed. It's not, but let's say it is. We want to go, say, create a new variable called natural log BDI, and what this is going to be is we can go through and we can collect data. We can say arithmetic. We want to take the natural log of our BDI2 score. Okay, and so what this is going to do, SPSS is going to create a new variable, natural log of the BDI. This is the expression that we're going to get here. We hit OK. It says it's done it correctly. And if we go to the end of our file, we've got natural log. Well, looks like we don't have any BDI scores. What happened? Oh, BDI2. So we go natural log of our BDI. Did we get something there? Yep, there we go. All right. So what we've got here is our transform variable. That is the natural log of our BDI score here. And so that's a nonlinear transform, but we can always also do things like, let's say we wanted to add our state and trait for the BDI or for the STAI. If we go STAI sum, we want to make that state plus trait. We hit OK. Same thing here. We've just created a new variable using our transform command. Okay. So that is kind of an overview survey of some basic stuff that you can do in SPSS. Hopefully this helps navigate some of the basic functions of the spreadsheet. We'll get into some more syntax stuff in the next video, but that should get you started at least in terms of navigating your way around SPSS. So hopefully this is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and good luck.